Hey, you must be Peter. Welcome to my home. I heard from Sarah that you want to talk about Reformed Druidism. My name is Andrea. I offer my backyard as a place for their services.
Thanks for inviting me to your home. I don't get off campus very often.
Would you like some coffee?
No thanks. I just had some with Sarah. She explained an overview and 2 basic tenets to me. I am still working through the concepts.
Bit short and fancy, aren't they?
Oh, rather. She kept mentioning how disorganized the Reformed Druids were and the concept of less is more. She says you could explain this?
Well, as you see, my kitchen is not filled with a lot of clutter, so when I get home from work, cleaning is a snap. I know where everything is, and I've got plenty of space to do various projects. My kids and husband can use it easily, too. Reformed Druidism is like that, a very simple kitchen, ready to cook many things, by many people. A basic template.
That is kind of like Zen, isn't it?
I guess a lot of religions ask us to keep it simple and devote more time to the important things in life. This a gift to be simple, this a gift to be free, and all that. Reformed Druidism applies that idea to itself.
Could you give me some examples?
Probably in about a dozen ways, but it is hard to know where to begin. Reformed Druidism lacks so many things found in organized mainstream religions and even other druidical groups. We are defined, in a sense, by the many things we don't do or have. If we don't have something, and you need it, then you either seek it in another group, do without it, or create something to fill the gap yourself. The original founders intended it to be a supplement to their spiritual paths, not a substitute.
But some members really only do Druidism.
Sure, quite a few. Craig and Tom in our Jack Pine Grove are pretty much just Reformed Druid, but Sarah is Catholic, I'm of Hindu upbringing, and Jodie, she's our Archdruidess, well, she's just generally neo-pagan, I guess. Our Jack Pine Grove isn't large, but has been stable for about 3 or 4 years now in this college town. We come from diverse backgrounds, but appreciate the same Earth Mother, and share our traditions, and together, make some new customs and come away more aware. It can be very beautiful and moving sometimes.
Getting back to less is more.
Yes, I wrote down a list of the more notable points before you came, so I'll go through it. Mind you, there are some groves that have stronger focus, local customs or different opinions, but I'm speaking rather generally about Reformed Druids.
Sure.
Well, first of all, although we have individual opinions, Reformed Druidism doesn't have a formal answer to the big questions of religion. We ask questions, but we differ on matters of an afterlife, fate, free will, sin, creation, eschatology, abortion, the nature of prayers and magic. Neither do we have an established canon of morals or ethics, although most members are familiar with several such codes, and we generally encourage them to lead a good life, just nothing formalized.
That's rather striking.
It sure is. We are creative folk, and of course, could spin up answers quite quickly, but we don't. The more mandatory beliefs you require of the group, the more potential members you are also excluding. Some groves will inevitably go down a particular pathway, developing together, but the overall Reformed Druids remains at square one, and allows groves or individuals to choose to evolve into what is a more recognizable religion, or not. But for some, the big questions have already been addressed by the other spiritual groups they belong to, and so they focus on what Reformed Druidism offers them in regards to nature and the chance to ask freely these kind of big questions. We also allow new members to stumble upon us, and we don't evangelize.
So Reformed Druidism doesn't have a lot of theological development on purpose? It also has rather little infrastructure and organization too.
Long ago, Reformed Druidism began as a student protest at Carleton College in 1963 against mandatory attendance of religious services. Therefore, the Reformed Druids tried to purposely build a group that hinders the natural progression to dogmatism. People do like to fill in gaps, provide more services, add conveniences, answer dilemmas and produce stability. That is sensible for a group trying to last throughout ages and grow in size. The founders were concerned that this process would distract from actual Druidism, exclude greater and greater numbers of people, and eventually become the very thing they were rebelling against. At the time, there were not a lot of models to work with, but they were inspired by the Quakers, Freemasonry, the Unitarians, Zen Buddhism and the various countercultural paradigms of the 1960s. It still shows, I guess.
Then, what do Reformed Druids not do or not have?
Well, as a group, we have no buildings or property and usually meet outdoors in places of natural beauty. That takes away a lot of maintenance and costs. We do not have a paid priesthood or charities. We might pass around a hat for the food and drink at a service or festival, but usually no fees. No real income or expenses. Most groves operate on less than a few $100s per year.
So little infrastructure or financial factors. What else?
As Sarah explained to you, the Reformed Druids as a whole straddles the fence on whether it is a religion or philosophy. That position helps some members to practice Reformed Druidism, while belonging to mainstream religions that do not tolerate other religions, but might allow philosophical inquiry. Some members are atheist or agnostic too, or prefer to think of gods and heroic myth as metaphors or Jungian archetypes. Some just don't see a distinct difference between religion and philosophy. So we leave ourselves undefined on that point. We also have no holy book of divine revelation, just lots of anthologies by past members.
Not to be rude, but you don't look Irish. I understand that the Reformed Druids don't believe all the customs of the ancient Druids, so they also do not have to descend from the Celtic peoples.
No offense taken. This is a common misconception about modern Druidism. My friend Thomas knows the Celtic peoples and languages, but you are correct. Modern Druid groups generally accept people of all races, ethnicity and gender, and no one more so than the Reformed Druids. Because of the name Druid and Celtic terms we use, a larger proportion of our membership will be of Western European background, so we should take time to mention this cultural diversity when we talk about Reformed Druidism. Now, my ancestors come from India, and yours from Europe. Perhaps, further back, they shared history in the Indo-European people near the Black Sea. Go back further, and all modern humans came out of Africa. And along the way, nature was an important part of the spiritual lives of all our ancestors throughout the ages, and it still is. The culture, language and traditions of your ancestors can be a big help in rooting your spiritual path, and like our religious diversity, spices up our meetings.
Sarah explained the many characteristics that distinguish you from a cult.
Sure, a cult leader would be most frustrated with our rebellious Reformed Druids. It may disappoint some folks, but we don't do blood sacrifice, only vegetables, don't brainwash members, have orgies, abuse our members, disparage other faiths, or try to break the law. If you know a crime happened at one of our groves or in another church, I would recommend you report it to the police.
What mechanisms exist in the Reformed Druidical structure to prevent bad things from happening and to get rid of problematic members?
None.
None?
None, formally, and that might seem alarming at first. That is why it is so important in our tradition to reiterate the importance of religious freedom, mutual respect, and talk frequently about ethics, even if our system doesn't allow a practical path for formal legislation. The need to organize because of this issue was a catalyst for several schisms in our history, and our expert on that is Brother Richard.
Sure, I'd like to meet Richard. What is the general structure of Reformed Druidism?
Well, when you have 3 or more members with a constitution, you have a proto-grove. When the proto-grove has a third-order priest, it becomes a full grove. Every grove has an archdruid and other officers. Every priest belongs to the Council of Darlone Ape Landu and they rule by consensus in the RDNA. However, unanimous decisions are difficult with 100 or more members, so no legislation has passed since 1971, although debates did pop up. As a result, groves have had much more autonomy in deciding matters. The general tradition is that while a grove can kick out its members, There is no excommunication or defrocking by the Reform, as a whole. Ordinations are permanent, even if not practiced anymore, but I suppose they could be given up.
Certainly a dilemma.
It is never pleasant dealing with such a member, even in a tolerant community like the Reformed Druids. From my personal experience, if you have reasonable proof, share this quickly with many wise people, and then make your opinions known widely. The other groves should know about your grove's decision on such a serious matter, if privacy allows. Don't ignore it.
Anything else?
We've covered a lot of ground. I'd just add that attendance at religious services is encouraged, but optional, and you feel free to attend services of other faiths too.
So to wrap it up, today's lecture's theme was less is more. Any advice on what to do next?
Why don't you talk with Craig about the symbols of Druidry?
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Goodbye, take care.